So I was thinking after the last video, I made a very small car. Something that was more realistic, maybe a bit more practical. It was also older, being in the 70s, but this time, let's make the exact opposite. It's going to be in the 70s, but it's going to be huge and completely impractical. For that purpose, I have chosen to go with the 1970 convertible. It also occurred to me that I haven't made any convertibles before, so we're going to attempt to, well, this one isn't a recreation, it's totally my own design, so we'll see how this goes, but it's going to be a ladder frame, front-wheel drive, boat of a car. So as you would suspect, these are the things that we're going to be going with. I guess it could actually be, it's probably a transverse, but we'll put coils on the front and leaf springs on the back. Oh no, you know where this is going. Engine is obviously a large V8. It's going to be cast iron, it's going to be low powered as heck. Let's make it, I don't know, maybe an 8 liter? Oh no, we've reached the limitation on our current engine size. I'm going for displacement more than anything here, so I'm just going to ramp this up. And we can fit a 6.6 liter, which isn't actually as big as I'd like. So it's the height that's messing with us, but a 6.6, I guess that's big enough. I wish it could be bigger, but yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll just go with it though. It's going to be push rods, because of course it is. And then cast iron everything. So just like I just said, cast iron insides. It really doesn't need a lot of power. We'll skip that. Turbochargers not even existing at this point, apparently. I mean, they probably did, but we can't do them in automation. And carburetor. Let's just do a single barrel carburetor with single carb, standard intake, and we'll pretend that they ran it on super leaded. So it didn't take long before the engine decided to kill itself, but that's the thing, we can bring it back from the dead here. At least hopefully we can. Our main issue is that the RPM is just way too high. This is not an engine that can take that kind of pressure. Also, the RON value that we have is currently much higher than what the car actually gets, so we need to fix that as well. Starting things off, I've lowered the ignition timing to 0 and we're at 130 horsepower. I think I might have to lower the compression just a touch. And there we go, 166. It actually does have a lot of torque on the low end, but 166 horsepower is not much. So with the ignition timing where it was before, just at 51, we can make a cool 192 horsepower and 423 newton meters of torque. And that's a really low torque figure as well, like dead low in the RPM, I mean. Which is pretty nice. Suffering some reliability issues, not too concerned about that. Could probably get just a touch more out of the exhaust. But with that, I don't know, like I think that's pretty much good. Right, so it's a heavy engine. Didn't need much work in that. That's actually exactly where I was thinking this car would be, just under 200 horsepower. That's actually probably a little bit too much, but seeing as it's a 6.6 V8, it should have at least some power. Okay, on to the styling. Alright, like I said, we're going to go with the convertible, and it is going to be front-wheel drive. Oh man, this thing is tall already. We're going to have to fix that. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Quickly onto the drivetrain. Of course, it's an auto. 3-speed, oh no. Apparently it's capable of doing 231. I really doubt that, but for now we'll raise that up. Open diffs because of course. Radial tires. We'll just go medium compound. I'm just skipping ahead for now. Alright, this is where I wanted to get. We'll go back to all that other stuff in a bit, but the ride height is currently as low as it can be, so this thing is going to be quite high, but that's all I really wanted to check. I guess that's the curse of going coil springs and leaf springs as well. Okay, back onto the paint. So we need to figure out what the soft top painting is, because currently it's a nice blue leather, but I was thinking we should make it maybe tan. The car itself, you know what? Let's make it white. It's just going to be pure white. And the trim is definitely going to be chrome. We'll actually use chrome on this one. A little bit unusual. Wheels, I mean, we could go chrome wheels, but that's not really realistic. So interestingly, we can paint the convertible top. It's right here in the MISC section. And in the options here, we have leather. We also have cloth. So I'm going to make it leather. And I'm going to try for a nice desert tan. Oh boy. Okay, we could go for a... oh no. Never mind. Okay, so I'm into the advanced paint mode because I couldn't quite get the color I wanted. but we are going to add a bit more darkness to it. No, we can't do pearlescent leather, that just doesn't make sense. So wheels are an important part of the car. They kind of define the styling of it. If we're gonna go for a modern version of this, we could just go a little bit baller and just put on massive chromies, but again, trying to keep it 70s spec. Oh, and I'll try not to forget anything this time. I know I forgot quite a few things last time, including the mirrors and the taillights, so yeah, not again. So in order to not forget these items, I'm gonna do them right away. Usually I don't do the backlights first, but this time I'm making an exception. Let's try, and I have no idea what to do here. Again, not having a reference is challenging, but I don't know. We'll see if I can come up with something decent. So I had this idea, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Just gonna try it, see what it turns out like. Now all I really need to do is make all of these cars, or all of these lights chrome, and it should be, I don't know, something. It's unique, I'll give it that. Seeing as this car is not really based on anything directly, I have full reign when it comes to styling, and as you may know from the past, that can sometimes be a mistake. I always find as well that I make a good like front or a good back, and then immediately I go to the other side and it's like, what do I do now? And I feel like that's just gonna happen immediately again with this one. I guess good is subjective though, that's a lot of lights. Maybe I should have changed this to be a 70s concept car, because honestly that's kind of what it's turning into, without it really intending to be that way. Just gotta give it that North Carolina plate. First in flight. Alright, now that I've made a very interesting back end, I believe I need to transfer this same energy to the rest of the car, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that, but the only answer I can think of is just more chrome. Alright, before again I forget, we need to do some wing mirrors. This car needs to be able to back up somehow, although it's kind of doubtful that it would even be able to. You know, I'm gonna have to fix that right. I just have to change the suspension now. There's no way that we can go with this. Well, with a massive boat of a car, we at least need some way to see in the back, and that's what we have. Good thing I didn't forget that. Like, this thing is just not gonna have any aggressive lines on it at all. Okay, maybe if you consider that aggressive, but it's meant for wafting down the highways. That's pretty much it. Oh no, I just remembered about the spare tire. Oh, it's tempting. Alright, it's almost time to move on to the front, but before I do that, I should probably put some windshield wipers on there. Kinda need to be able to see. There we go, found them. Okay, they have to be chrome. What else are they gonna be? Everything on this car is chrome. Okay, apparently this body doesn't like things to go up close to the window, which is unfortunate, because I can't seem to line this up in a good way. That's about as close as you can get, so I guess I'm just gonna have to do 2 of those. Alright, well it has wipers. They're not in a great spot, but they're there, so we'll leave those just as they are. On to the scary part. We've got to come up with a way to top that back up here. Like, obviously we can't go too fancy because it's the 70s and we can't put lights like this on there, but these circular ones do pull the same kind of vibes that I'm looking for. Problem is, in triples, it just looks a little bit weird. And then in doubles, it kind of looks like a Trans Am almost, if you squint and are extremely tired. I have the lights in a way that I like them, but what I want to do is I want to set them back, so we're going to try a quick trick to see if I can get that to work. Actually, you know what? These cutouts are kind of interesting. I have, like, I wish I could get them in just a square or a rectangle, but seeing the lights on the side like that, that's really, really odd. But it's kind of cool. I think it kind of fits this car's weirdness. It's just a weird looking car with some weird front lights as well. Okay, that's a bit more manageable, just a little bit more reasonable. These, though, come on, they have to be chrome, let's be real. Alright, now that the front end has been chromed, it's time to add in some extra features. So we definitely need turn signals up front. I'm actually going to snag the same ones that I used in the back and just pull those around. Hey, look at that. Design is flowing. The design is actually somewhat cohesive. It goes from the front to the back and then nowhere else. And again, I'm pulling another piece from the back, trying to keep things, again, cohesive to at least some extent. But again, I'm gonna have to put all these on the third layer and do the same trick that I did before. That's in perfectly. Okay, maybe not so perfectly, it's just a little bit too big. But this time it's not going to be like that, it'll actually be a grill. And trying to remember which one works best in Beam. Probably that one. Okay, so Quirky Car is coming together. We need something underneath it though, and we'll probably need some trim on the sides. Chrome trim, naturally. Okay, what I'm thinking for down here is a pretty decently sized just vent like this, because this engine has to breathe somehow. Definitely wasn't made in the cooling era. And then for added sportiness, I'm actually going to take this, duplicate it, clone it, shrink it, and then put it next to there. Something like that at least. Oh my goodness, I did not think that there could be any more chrome on here, but apparently I just need to add more. Chrome fixes everything. Huge trim pieces, adding lines to the car. It's exactly what we needed. Am I correct in saying that this is the true Disco Puck 3.0? Oh no. Oh no, a sport version incoming. Massive wedge on the front. It actually doesn't look bad, but I don't think I can get away with that on this build in particular. Maybe a sport version incoming. If we made this giant lip chrome, does that count? I'm not even sure. Okay, you know what? I've come to the conclusion that I like it, but it's just a little bit too big. So what we're gonna do is we'll sub it in for something else. Yeah, I think it does need something on the front. Just a little piece of chrome there to keep the design flowing once again, and this seems to do the trick. I don't know. These, believe it or not, these actually stick out too far for this. Sometimes I'm thinking to myself that they don't stick out far enough when I'm doing a more race-oriented build, but today, not so much. Okay, so we have a front, we have a back, now we need some side skirts of some kind, and for that, I do not know. Well, you know what? I never noticed what this thing was, but it's actually just a giant light bar. I probably should have seen that a long time ago. Oh, this is a dangerous proposition. Can we add some wheel covers? Is that even possible in automation? And just what your grandmother would have wanted. It's a giant chrome piece on the side of the car. Or, yeah, now it's chrome. There we go. Alright, I think I'm done styling it. I think it's sorted. This is a very odd looking car, but I like the way that it looks. Sometimes odd is fun, and oftentimes I don't do much with chrome, so this is a complete diversion from that. Have I forgotten anything? Okay, let's just run through the checklist here. Gas cap. It actually has a rear end, which is good. Door handles, mirrors, wipers. The front has lights, and it has turn signals as well, for those who are wondering. Maybe an indicator on the side would be good, but I'm not going to bother. One thing we have not done yet is badging, and we haven't named it, so let's do that first. You know what I did forget? It's a radio antenna. That's not going to work though. And just for fun, I don't know, I'm just like coming up with ways to add complexity to this. Why don't we add some vents right here? It just makes sense for the car. Oh yeah, so back on to badging. We need to come up with a name for this thing. Yeah, I've got no idea once again. I was thinking of making a luxury coupe, and then all of a sudden this came out of nowhere. Let's give it some royalty though. It's gonna have a lion on the front. Is it gonna be in the grill though, or is it gonna be up here? Alright, I've decided. It's going to be down on the side right there. That's where the lion rests. And then the same thing is gonna be on this side as well. Down close to the bumper. Just put one of these here. And then we won't be able to duplicate it because it'll mirror it, so I'm going to bring another one over. Oh, I forgot to clone the trim. Okay, fixed it. Small issues here and there, you know, just a few mistakes. But the lion is sitting on the trim. That's exactly what we want. And then on the back, we need a name for it. Alright, so I've come up with a name. It's going to be the Panther, except the thing on the front is a lion. It's just a special edition of Panther, we'll say. Alaska. So let's put Alaska on the back of it. Specifically right here. And using my new favorite colorable letters, let's do it. So we'll put the A back here and then duplicate after that. Should it be chrome? Okay, obviously it's going to be chrome. Well, that's not janky at all. Okay, let me just straighten it up a little bit. There we go, the Alaska. The Panther Alaska is ready to be modified to have a drivetrain. And I think what I'm going to do is attempt to get this to be a little bit different here. So first things first for that, way back to suspension, like way back. Let's go coil on both. Oh, it's gonna break it, isn't it? Okay, after like a minute pause, the game decided that coil on the back was gonna be okay, but moving again into the future. Okay, it seems like all the fixtures are still there, which is good because it took a long time to place that. Can we lower it any more with that? And the answer is no. Okay, attempt number 3. Let's go double wishbone front and see if that does anything. Okay, there we go. So double wishbone front and coils in the back will let us lower the car a little bit, just at least to a little bit more of a reasonable level, which is good. But yeah, there we go. Fixtures good, car good. Let's go on to drivetrain. Okay, so it's going to be an auto with 3-speed, which is sad, but we'll work with that as we work here. Our current top speed is a little aggressive, we'll say. The actual car is going to top out about there, 197, and this car is probably going to be pretty lazy, so we'll just go for slightly more spacing. Wheel spin is currently an issue, only in first gear. There's a 6.6% wheel spin, and all of it is in first gear, so yeah, can't do much about that. Now our wheels, we're on medium compound. We can make them bigger though. I'm not too concerned if it's realistic for the year. I just want to be able to drive it, at least in a semi-straight line. So it's got 225s on the front and the back. That seems pretty reasonable. Actually, they look massive. Okay, let's bring that down just in the name of at least somewhat realism. Yeah, that's a bit better. It does mess up the graph a touch, but it's not that big a deal. It's got 14s currently. Should we up those? 15s? Is that too luxurious? I don't think so. That's good. And we'll say they're alloy rims. Maybe that'll help with the weight issue that we're going to have a bit later on. Offset on the car, I added a little bit of it. Just wanted a slightly wider stance. Having 35 on the back seems like too much. So we'll lower it down to 20 on both, and that should be good. Brakes. Okay, brakes are going to be an interesting thing. Currently, the brakes on the back are woefully inadequate. Actually, this is the front, sorry, and the front is the rear is also incredibly inadequate. So let's go up to, we'll say discs in the front. That'll help it a bit, and then we will increase the size of them as much as we can. Oh no. Okay, 2 piston discs in the front. That might be the only way we actually stop this thing. Okay, I've got the brakes to a point where I'm kind of happy with them. 300mm discs on a car like this is pretty nuts. They're quite large for disc brakes, but in the name of automation, we need some sort of braking power. We've just got to be able to stop. In terms of downforce, we have lift, so this car technically flies. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's all planned. We're going to go for a bench seat in the front, but we're going to go for a very fancy luxury interior, and it's going to be phonograph. Oh no. We'll do a premium, you know what, luxury AM radio. That'll increase the weight of it a bit, and that means we need to go back and redo the brakes again. So the car has gained a bunch of weight, but yeah, not much we can do about that. That's kind of just how it goes with these days. This is a 70s car, so we'll give it advanced safety as well. That'll make it a lot. It's basically a muscle car according to this, despite being front-wheel drive. But let's see about the other graphs. Okay, back onto suspension. It's currently standard twin tube and passive. I just did that as a quick thing. We could go hydro pneumatic. I mean, that would be realistic. So we'll go with that for now. I had it on a race preset, but you can see that that just lowers it. I mean, if we're ever going to do a modern version of this, which if you like it, we probably will, this would not be a bad thing, but for the sake of the build, we'll probably stick with a standard and then raise the car up a little bit. Just because in the past I've done comfort, and it turns it into a literal boat with wheels. Like, it's not a good way to have the car at all in Beam, so for the sake of Beam, we're gonna just have to do it like this. And we actually have family now, somehow. Families are wanting to buy this car, and I can't imagine why. But that's gonna be it for this build. Let's see how much it weighs. Oh wow, only 1,396 kilos. That's surprisingly not much. To be honest, for a car like this, I guess it's not that big. I anticipated it being heavier than that. Either way, 192 horsepower, it's pretty lazy power as well, is gonna be rough. Just don't look at your gas bills. Okay, into Beam we go. Right, so here is what the Alaska looks like in game. I think it turned out okay. I really like how the bottom vents actually are, you can actually see through them, so that was done well. One thing to note that I found kind of funny was the back lights are, the bulbs in them are very visible, which is not really what I was anticipating, but yeah, I mean, it works. It's okay. It's not the worst thing ever. The top is very, very matte, and the rest of the car is incredibly shiny. Also, the rims turned out basically white, but it's okay. I think my only regret when it comes to the actual design of this car is that I should have made the outside of the mirrors chrome as well, but you can never just chrome things too much now, can you? So you may have noticed next to this car I put the Brabus inspired King, what is it called again? 630. I believe that's the name of the engine size and the horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is my other luxury car that I made this season. You can see the size difference between the two. Here, let's just line them up next to each other. So check out the size difference between my I guess other luxury yacht and this one. Not so much of a yacht now, is it? I think in that sense I've kind of failed. It's not quite what I advertised it to be. However, it is a much smaller car with a V8, and that makes it quite a lot of fun. It's a decent car to drive as well, so let's get rid of this big one and go take some streets in the small luxury beast. Alright, so let's start up this V8. So my original intention for this car... Oh, I forgot exhaust, didn't I? Oh, dang it. Okay, I'm gonna pretend... I don't know how I forgot exhaust. They're just hanging out right there. Out of everything I could have forgotten. But we'll just pretend that they're not really noticeable. Because what I would have done anyway was just put a small turn down piece right behind the bumper. That would have been the subtlety that this car would have, but dang it, that was a mistake. Every time I miss at least one thing. Okay, as I was saying before I got distracted by my failures in life, let's go for a drive in this car. Immediately you're going to notice that if you gun it, it does actually wheel spin quite a bit. That 6%, whatever it is a lot more likely than it thinks. Now 3 speeds isn't great for shifting, but I think this car is geared right. I mean, it does seem to drive well, despite having that disability. No, it's a disadvantage. I don't know why I was thinking disability there. I'm kind of losing my mind. Okay, this is a dead end here, but we'll go for a quick handbrake turn in our front-wheel drive car. Yeah, I think the chrome on white might have not been a great idea, just because it doesn't stand out as much as I would like. Maybe chrome on black, but then I find it's always too shiny in Beam. Cars almost always look better in automation, but yeah, you get what you get with this. Going for a quick top speed run here. I mean, we are slightly going downhill, but we definitely are in gear 3. We might make it to the top speed. I think it was 190 something, like 197. Yeah, it looks like we might actually hit that. Oh, bouncing off the limiter, 192. Looks like that's all this car has. Thank you to whoever gave me that tip, by the way, about the top speeds. That's something I should have known before, but kind of wasn't paying attention to. Just a lot of things to keep track of. So yeah, grip is kind of minimal in this car with its not so great tires and just generally not really performance-oriented design, but when it comes to just cruising, that's pretty much what it's perfect at. It cruises exactly as you would want. And for a tunnel run, it's not that great either because it's got mufflers, 2 of them in fact. You may notice I've been driving on the wrong side of the road this entire time, and that has not been intentional. I don't know, I'm just going. I'm just flying now. Alright, here we go. Transition back onto the proper side of the road here, at least in this country. So yeah, I don't really intend to race this at all. I don't think that would turn out too well, just because of its questionable handling and even more questionable grip. I don't want to take it on the track. That being said, the track is right here. Why don't we go for a quick, just a quick drag strip run with this thing. Alright, here we go. I'm interested to see, well, 2 things. 1, if it has grip on the drag strip, and 2, if we can somehow beat anything with this car. Alright, so we can go for a similar opponent. We'll go for the no cinematic camera and we'll leave it on the regular tree because I was having issues with the Pro one before. Oh, the car is driving away, never mind. There's just no end to the glitchiness with this, but I'm going to attempt to give a... I'm going to attempt to race the King 630, keeping in mind that the AI will not rev up this car. This car has a lot of power. We're probably going to lose, but I think it'll be fun just to try it. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, it actually spawned me back into the track, which is good. I'm going to creep forward just a touch. This says please drive up to the starting line. And I'm not staged, am I? Okay, now I'm staged. Oh, there we go. Can we beat the Brabus? Okay, there was no way. Even spooling up the engine, we can't defeat that. Well, this car looks good while it's going, but it's got a 15-second lap, so you get a lot of time to look at it. Alright, this is just blind curiosity here, but the Rhino Big is rising from the grave right now. I want to go against it. That car, or truck at least, is extremely loud, and the AI just totally missed the line because its brakes are garbage. So I want to see if we can even go up against it. And the answer is probably going to be no because the AI can't stage it. Alright, so I got rid of that other car, but I think that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to say though, the one thing that's pretty cool about this one, I didn't really intend for this to be the case, but for some reason it does like wickedly good J-turns. Just like extremely good. I don't know if that's just the gearing or whatever, but yeah, it's a fun one to drive when you drive it the wrong way. I just want to take a second to thank those who have chosen to support the channel, specifically Will, Canadian Steel, Boris Ramirez, Slow Fried Chicken 69, and Overlord. Thank you for your support. I appreciate all of those who hit the join button, and your name can join these lads if you intend to do so yourself. So yeah, I think this car turned out okay. I'm disappointed that I missed the exhaust. I feel like a bit of an idiot for that one, but what can I say? I don't know. I'm prone to mistakes of that kind. There is no doubt about that. But what do you think about this car? Do you think it turned out okay? Do you think that it's worth the Panther name, the Panther legacy on this channel? I actually like the way it turned out quite a bit. Overall, it's a pretty weird looking thing, but it's kind of cool. Anyway, I'll see you again next week.